What if I told you that the biceps curl was once an official powerlifting lift, performed right after the squat and bench press? It was only around 1965 that the curl was removed, and the deadlift took its place. Even after being removed, no other exercise received as much cultural attention as the biceps curl, especially among men, because well-developed biceps have always been a symbol of masculine power and are often considered attractive by many women. And that perception drove an entire generation of lifters to chase the pump with relentless dedication. In almost every gym of the 60s and 70s, the line, "Do curls for the girls," was repeated so often that the movement became linked more with appearance than with function. And that sets the stage for today's article, because Dr. Ken Leistner had a very different perspective. His experience shows something the average lifter never sees. The curl wasn't just a purely cosmetic exercise. It once had real importance in strength training. This is the 9th video in the Dr. Ken Leistner series, and we are going to explore another one of his legendary articles. So let's begin. There is definitely a difference between bodybuilding and training for strength sports, but the perception of difference is even greater. I have spent almost my whole life, about 46 years, lifting weights and going to places where people lift. I trained in a small, simple gym with many Mr. America winners, including Dennis Tenorino, Chris Dickerson, Steve Mikulik, Joe Abenda, and Tony Pandolfo. I trained in Bill West's garage in Culver City, California, the original Westside Barbell Club, where I watched Pat Casey lift huge weights. There, I became lifelong friends with him and learned the finer details of powerlifting while training with George Frenn and Bill Peanuts West. I improved many of my skills while training with champions like Tom Overholtzer, Rudy Lozano, Len Ingro, and Bill Whitting at Zuver's Hall of Fame gym in Costa Mesa, California. I was lucky to be coached directly by York's Bill March and Bill Starr, and I often listened to the wild stories shared by Bob Bednarski. I've been lucky to experience all of it firsthand, and to share what I learned from those great lifters. In almost every gym, I often heard the funny saying, "Do curls for the girls," which meant that one did curls or should do curls to impress girls, attract attention, or look like the bodybuilders they admired. Building big biceps not for function but for appearance became a very strong message, one that was propagated and accepted by many if not most of the people I met in gyms. Many competitive powerlifters, Olympic lifters, and strongmen types correctly put their primary training efforts into the exercise movements that allow them to compete well, stimulate maximal tissue growth with each movement, and strengthen the muscles needed for their sport. Squats, pulls, deadlifts, and different kinds of presses form the backbone of their training programs. However, if you bring up curls in any form, most people instantly picture a shiny, overconfident bodybuilder posing in front of a mirror. The curl, whether done with a barbell, dumbbell, kettlebell, or machine, has become linked with bodybuilding and seen as something done only for looks, not for functional use in athletics. Again, I was lucky because my experience exposed me to many different types of training and many truly great athletes. One of them was Joe Don Looney, a professional football player who was an early advocate of lifting weights in order to play better football. He wrote training programs for me which included exercises like squats, deadlifts, power cleans, stiff-legged deadlifts, barbell and dumbbell presses, bench press, leg press, shrugs, and barbell curls. If I ever skipped something because of time constraints or fatigue, it was usually the curls, and eventually he asked me why. My usual answer was, I don't care how big my arms are, I just want to be stronger and play better football. It took me longer than it should have to realize that doing curls is actually important, not just for looks, but for preventing injuries, improving strength in other pulling movements, and in order to better stabilize the shoulder. I have to admit, the only reason curls caught my attention back in the early 60s was because they were a part of competition. Yes, before powerlifting became an official sport, there were odd lift contests, and I took part in some of the early ones at the Harlem Y. The three main lifts in those competitions were the bench press, squat, and curl, each done for the heaviest single repetition possible. The deadlift eventually became part of these contests, and for some time, certain competitions had 3 lifts while others had 4, with the curl performed after the deadlift. When powerlifting became an official organized sport, the curl was removed from competition, and with that, most people, including me, lost interest in it. From then on, curls were left mostly to bodybuilders who just wanted to get bigger. In the 1970s, studies and observations showed that around 30% of shoulder injuries caused by sports were actually biceps injuries. As football players grew bigger and stronger during the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, biceps and forearm injuries, which were once very rare, started becoming more common in college and NFL training rooms. In short, athletes began to realize that the biceps, just like many other smaller muscles often ignored in training, needed to be worked seriously. The barbell curl stayed as the main exercise, but depending on one's training style, the biceps should be trained with the same effort and intensity as any other muscle group. The biceps is just one of a few muscles that help you bend your arm. The other main ones are the coracobrachialis and the brachioradialis. You can use a barbell, dumbbell, or machine to do this bending movement. The Atomic Athletic Retro dumbbells make curling feel like an adventure, an exciting one. Holding a pair of 42-pound dumbbells like the ones we use with our trainees for strict curls feels like grabbing a lightning bolt. The thick handle and slightly uneven heavy head force every muscle and tendon in the hands, forearms, and arms to stay fully alert. As Luke Petitgout, an offensive tackle for the New York Giants, told me after trying the 70-pound dumbbells from Atomic Athletic, "That's the heaviest and toughest 70 pounds I've ever handled." And I completely agree with him. Dumbbell curls, done with both arms at the same time or one arm after the other, with a regular grip or a hammer grip, are a great exercise, and the odd-shaped dumbbells add something special that is hard to copy. We also do curls with Atomic Athletic kettlebells, sometimes holding the bell itself, and sometimes using a ring handle attached to a chain that connects to the kettlebell. Each version feels different and works the hands, forearms, and arms in its own way. Curling with a barbell is another simple, basic, and effective exercise. The Atomic Athletic Easy Curl Bar adds a variation that uses the biceps a little less and the brachioradialis a little more. Bars with thicker handles give an extra level of challenge and muscle stimulation. Using bars of different thicknesses and lengths gives each curl a different feel, which creates a lot of variety even though it's the same basic exercise. As your biceps and other arm-bending muscles get stronger, you can use more weight on pulling movements that involve the biceps, like all types of rows, chin-ups, pull-downs, and pulls. Lifting stones, sandbags, and doing any kind of carrying work all improve when the biceps are stronger. The biceps help start the lift and also help you hold the object securely in place. Stone lifting benefits a lot from doing direct biceps and curling work. You use your hips and thighs to first lift the stone off the ground, pushing the hips forward hard and fast, and then you row the stone into your body by pulling strongly with your biceps. So before someone makes fun of a strength athlete for doing biceps training, remember this: to be a strength athlete who wants to be injury resistant and as strong as possible, you must train the biceps just like any other important muscle.
You see your hands. I like the chalk on your hands. Just turn them out like this. Just stand straight like this. Perfect.
Your real strength and the ability to demonstrate strength and generate power comes from your hips and thighs and your low back. It's less than 400, around 370, so no problem. And 660 was my best in competition.